Allahu, 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 Allah.
Assalamu alaikum. Today's beautiful name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Kareem, the most generous. And Kareem in the Arabic language is usually used for people who are generous, people who like to help the poor and like to give. And but what I want to focus on today is a totally different angle altogether of this beautiful name, which is from karama, which means dignity. And so Al-Kareem is the one who gives dignity to his creation, and specifically to us human beings. So usually when it comes to dignity, Al-Quran Al-Kareem is usually used as the noble Quran, or the dignified book, right? So think about it this way: Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this Quran to dignify us, to give us dignity. That's how precious this book is. And similarly, the Prophet ﷺ has also said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I have been sent to you for no other reason but to completely dignify the human beings. لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. To dignify the human being by fulfilling all the akhlaq, all the manners and morals. SubhanAllah. So these morals and manners is what gives the human being this dignity. And this is really, the Prophet ﷺ saying, this is why he was sent to us. So it's a really, really profound thing to think about. And the first verse to be revealed, or some of the first verses to be revealed to the human beings were Iqra, right? Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqa al-insana min alaq, Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram. Right? And Akram is another extreme form of the one who has extremely dignified the human being. And so how has Allah dignified us? By giving us the ability to read, giving us the ability to be curious, to learn and to explore and search for the truth. So this is what gives us dignity, this word itself. And subhanAllah, how sad it is that we live in times today where people don't really care about reading, they don't really care about searching for the truth and having that thirst and hunger to develop themselves further and to find their purpose and their goal in life, and to think of living a meaningful and purposeful life. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another place in the Quran says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. SubhanAllah, Allah says that we have indeed given dignity to Bani Adam, the sons of Adam. And here remember, he didn't say وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا الْمُسْلِمُونَ. He didn't make it specific to Muslims. He said all of the human beings, all of the descendants of the children of Adam alayhi salam. And so this is really important point to think about, right? Allah is saying that Allah has honored and dignified all human beings. So this is something that we need to take care of when it comes to dealing with others and dignifying others. And so this is one angle of it. When it comes to us dealing with others, let's not forget that even if it's someone who is not from your religion, or someone who's not from your race or your color or your language, do not ever think that you're better than them. Why? Because Allah has dignified all of people. And this is where arrogance is such a big sin. If you look at the root issue of arrogance, what is arrogance? Arrogance is thinking that you are better than others. Whereas Allah is saying, all human beings, I have dignified everybody. And so who are you to think that you are better than others? And also certain sins that are extremely, extremely dangerous in the Quran, like ghiba, right? Backbiting. Saying things about someone else behind their back that they don't like. Now, by doing this, what are you doing? You're, not honoring that person, not giving him the dignity that they deserve. And so that is why it's such a big sin. Similarly, insulting others. When it comes to people who are weaker than us, like our housemates and drivers and the waiter in the restaurant and poor people, in general, or like if you're the boss and you have employees that are like inferior to you, if you think you're better than them, if you're insulting them, then you are actually insulting the dignity that Allah has given us through this name Al-Kareem. Serious stuff. Even when it comes to jokes and comedy, what is comedy really about? What are stand-up comedies about? It's all about just making fun of other religions, other skin colors, other languages. And Allah is saying that in Surah Al-Hujurat, which is a surah that's profound when it comes to dealing with others, Allah says, وَلَا يَسْخَرْ قَوْمٌ مِّنْ قَوْمٍ. And let not one nation make fun of another nation. Perhaps that nation is better than this nation. So these are serious implications of this word or this name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Kareem. If Allah has dignified human beings, we need to be extra careful not to insult anybody, not to joke at anybody, and not to be arrogant, not to think you're better than others. And even more importantly, not to judge others. SubhanAllah, we live in ages where, like these times, everybody's just judging people based on their looks, based on their color, based on their appearances. SubhanAllah, you see a woman who's wearing a mini skirt and you pass on a judgment that she is astaghfirullah, going to hellfire or something. You see a brother who, doesn't have a beard or something, and you immediately pass a judgment, astaghfirullah, this brother is misguided, And we just pass on judgments like that and, just throw comments without really understanding the implications. Brothers and sisters, Allah is saying that He is Al-Kareem. He is the one who has dignified the human being. Who are we to pass judgments? Alaykum anfusakum. Allah says in the Quran, just focus on yourself. Wallahi, focus on yourself. If you have nothing good to say, then be quiet. Because the Prophet said that one of the most dangerous sins that His people will be committing is the sins of the tongue. Because of these judgments and passing these comments and thinking that you're better than others and judging others. Wallahi, these are serious sins in the Quran that, according to my views, are even worse than drinking alcohol, worse than zina, worse than, gambling and these things. Why? Because Allah is saying that He has dignified the human being. It is one of the hudud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the boundaries that if you cross, you're asking for trouble. Wallahi, you're asking for trouble. And even in terms of the laws of energy, when you pass these judgments, wallahi, your life will be attracting negative stuff in your life. Because you're passing negative comments. So you're a negative person, and therefore you're attracting negative things in your life. This is a simple law of attraction, right? So if you have nothing good to say, be quiet. Now another completely different angle is to this word or this name Al-Kareem, is that if Allah has given you dignity, then you yourself should be someone who has this self-dignity, someone who, honors this dignity by not committing sins. Because, Allah has made you the best of creation. Just think about, going back in time where Allah created you, right? He blew into you from His ruh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِن رُوحِي. Just think about that. Every single human being, Allah has gifted you with the special ruh, which has come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, we need to honor this dignity. And Allah honored this dignity by commanding the angels to prostrate to this first creation of Allah, who was Adam alayhi salam. And this is what got Iblis to be jealous, right? This idea that we have been given this honor and this dignity through this beautiful name Al-Kareem, the one who's given us this honor. And so do not insult yourself. And think about it, even in terms of our creation, right? Think about it, we've been created from clay. And clay is really a mixture of water and dust. And both water and dust are sources of purity in life. Right? Water is pure, dust is pure. That's why when it comes to making wudu and tayammum, these two things are usually used for purification, for salah. And therefore Allah has made you pure, He has made you dignified, He has given you this honor. And when every single time you sin, you commit a sin, you are insulting yourself. You are insulting your own dignity. Subhanallah. And that's why Allah says in Surah At-Teen, after swearing by وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, which are three places of purity, right? Teen وَالزَّيْتُونَ, referring to Palestine. Tur Sinin, referring to the Mount of Tur, where Musa alayhi salam talked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, Mecca, which is also one of the purest lands. Allah says what? لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have no doubt about it, we have created the human being in the best form, in the best of creation. But then when the human being sins, what does he do to himself? ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. When you follow the footsteps of shaitan, you come down to the lowest of the low. And shaitan, when he commands you and you listen to him, he wants you to insult your dignity and for you to be worse than animals, subhanallah. And that's why sometimes Allah inflicts us with certain reminders and certain, incidences and tragedies and difficulties in life to alert us that, listen, you are dishonoring your dignity. You're insulting yourself. Get back on track. You are Bani Adam. You are a human being. Don't act like an animal, if not worse than animals. So how do we live by this beautiful name? Number one, since Allah is Al-Kareem, He is the most generous, we need to be generous with people around us. Don't be greedy. You have people who need something from you, and you have the ability to help them. Be generous. Even if it's with a smile. Don't be greedy even with a smile. Make someone's day by smiling. Make someone's day by just, giving them good advice and reminding them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and, just saying some nice words to make them feel better. And what else do we do? Honor your fellow human beings. Don't judge others. And subhanAllah, one point I forgot to mention was, for example, you see someone who's an alcoholic, right? Usually, what do? We pass judgment. This flan, he's an alcoholic, he's messed up, he's going to hellfire if he doesn't do tawbah. But listen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that even this alcoholic, I have honored him. Right? So, an advice that you have to stick to is separate actions from people. So if someone is drinking alcohol, so that act of drinking alcohol is terrible, it's disgusting, right? It's a sin. But the human being is still honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has still been given that dignity. He's still given that karama, which is dignity in the Arabic language. Someone who's committing zina, yes, that act is terrible, but that person is still good. Someone who, ma'adallah, he's, let's say, gay, right? Yes, that act is terrible, but the human being is dignified. So separate between these two. Don't ever pass judgments on the human being, because this is, again, extremely dangerous. And then lastly, honor yourself. Honor your own dignity by not following the footsteps of shaitan, by not following the whispers of shaitan. Because on the day of judgment, shaitan is actually give a khutbah. And in the khutbah, he's going to say that, listen, all I did was invite you, to commit these sins. And you accepted, my invitation. And so don't blame me on this day. Blame yourself. And so honor your dignity, honor your, this karama and this honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you through this beautiful name, Al-Kareem. And, call on to Him by His beautiful names to help you regain your dignity and to help you maintain your dignity when it comes to dealing with others, and for you to be a source of generosity for fellow human beings. And with that, we conclude this beautiful name. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And in Surah Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَسْأَلُهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Everything that Allah created is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala day to day, moment to moment. And Allah is pretty much occupied with answering these du'as. So Allah didn't say just for human beings. Even the ants are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for provision. Even the whale in the bottom of the ocean is asking Allah for provision. Even the seed is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it grow. Everything is asking Allah except who? Except us. We have neglected this powerful weapon or tool that, is, wallahi, is such a blessing, is such a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.